If anyone ever tells me that I am too young, that I don't know enough, I will tell them of the lessons I have learned since birth. December 6, 1999, my mother began teaching me. 2 hours of labor, and by waking constantly every night, she taught me more than how to silence a screaming 2-year-old. She taught me patience, mixed with frustration, taught me the reason she dealt with 3 kids, young herself, husband, studying, living by dimes, times of hardship. My mother clothed me with modesty, dressed me with decency, suited me with elegancy. My mother taught me the meaning of motherhood. My father, he taught me how to speak, how to hold my head higher than the haters could ever reach, that even without standing on tiptoes, that I could be tall, confident. My father taught me through suppressing laughter when looking at my 4-year-old drawings that laughter can be of love. Even masterpieces in your own eyes could be scribbles in another's. By working every day, doing anything and everything to keep me happy, by simply making me smile, he teaches me what a true father is. My siblings, every one of the 4, teach me how to unite, hold tight, always keeping each other's back, assuring one doesn't lack. They teach me how to give things up for the sake of each other, how to allow, calm down, dismiss. They teach me what absence feels like, what presence is, what we are to each other. My siblings teach me why I never want to leave, why I will always fight for my family. My friends, they open eyes to reality. The girls I myself have been viewing as unknowing and immature have experienced heights of discrimination, have been shunned, kicked down, and still get back up, brush it off, and never mention, but it's forgotten what these kids went through. It seems to the elder that the youths have seen little, know little. But when a man spilled coffee on my Palestinian friend upon realization of her origin, when she was held at gunpoint in her own country, when my Pakistani sisters are taught as young girls that their innocence has a limited amount of time, if they're not careful, that men will snatch if you open, when these young kids go through this, when they learn their lessons, they become wiser, they become learned, they become experienced. And I have learned, I have experienced, I have grown to the name of wise. Yet again, I've been underestimated because they tell me that I am nothing but a high schooler. A girl with a small head and a big mouth speaking words she could not possibly have attained in wisdom because she is too young, hasn't been alive for enough years, because years means experience, and experience means lessons learned, wisdom attained. Except it doesn't. This misconception has been planted in our hearts for so long. I'm only speaking here to enlighten. Here, my enlightenment, if it's only me being degraded, I will teach myself not to care. But if every young and wise is being shunned, every one of our words being lessened in importance, and believe me, wisdom is being lost. Now, when they go to the moon and look down, they see the earth as what it is. Nothing but a small sphere filled with creatures so filled with ego, and they must think that, wow, this is all we got. This sphere is what us humans are so boastful about. Trust me, if they could see one of us from up there, if our importance was so much, they could see one of us from up there, then the right to boast is yours. But we forget what we all are, human. We are human beings that have been hinged together, bones, flesh, skin, alive. We're living lives that have been numbered. They call it age. They play it safe. I'm here to let you know that age is not just another place to categorize people into. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but the world never stops spinning when I realize maybe it's my fault I've gotten into trouble. Maybe it's me causing the trouble. Maybe I don't belong. I screamed in agony only to hear the hollowness of my body echoing back at me as I kept food from entering my stomach because I didn't look right either. I imitated all that the world had done to me, to myself. I told myself I was too young to understand, because that is what they've been spitting at me since I first started to speak up, that you really don't understand as much as we do. I told my mind, my heart, my soul that I didn't get it. I didn't understand what was happening around me, and in this confused daze, I fell into depression and thanked the world for letting me see that I really don't get it. The effort it took to rise back up was incredible. I was helped greatly. But I'd like to lose the gun before the bullet hits. I don't want more to be torn into pieces by the commands of the world. And now, my New Year's resolution was to help. Help people, specifically help people in need of it. But it's becoming so hard when every time someone looks at me, it's either a girl too young they see, or a girl incapable of understanding, most of the time, both actually. But I tell them that I've went through this. I have experienced more than many. I have seen more than allowed. I have learned the lessons they are struggling to see because the light is too bright, the mud too tight. It's so hard to fight those demons. They once lived, and me too, dear. In fact, they still leave me sticky notes for times of sadness reading, "We were once clashing here. Your body was once our battleground." I possess a knowledge of how to rid you of those inner demons and those outside demons, those people that throw sticks only to see if they really do break bones, those friends that claim loyalty but hold daggers, those media-created images of your country, the ones you try to match up with the beautiful place you visit every summer. I know how to solve these problems. I've learned how to stitch my lips in a way that enough will be said to hear, but not enough to understand. Because another thing I've learned is that wisdom can be frightening, knowledge at that too. And to keep knowledge from reaching, we find ways to keep people from speaking, find ways to tell them that they don't have the right to speak. And after a while, we end up crossing out every human living so that there's no way for the knowledge to spread and see. When you stitch, well, for the unexperienced, undoing the stitches can really lead to a bunch of knots and tangles and just some really confusing stuff. But I am willing to go through that hardship because a lot of the things that we keep from us can turn out to help us. Hurt us, yes, but the knowledge people speak of can sometimes help us more than hurt us. I'm not here to speak of what wisdom is, but to speak of where it comes from. The simple truth is, it doesn't always come from age, because quite frankly, and quite possibly, there are people who have entered this world, existed, and left. They existed, but they never really lived. They talked, but they never really spoke. They slept, but they never really dreamt, and because they were elder, we think they've learned. But how can you learn when you've never allowed yourself to be taught, when your own mind doesn't dare to wonder? The beauty in things only comes from opening your eyes. Balancing. I am. Falling. We are hurting. We will. We must correct these mistakes before they lead to more. And to correct them, we must allow ourselves to be taught. And then, be taught. Placing limits on who your ears will listen to will only confuse your heart. If you're listening to my words, you're smart. If you're understanding, you're intelligent. And if you're agreeing, you're wise, in the small perspective, that is. But really, I hope we can grow to see what we need. See, there are so many things to appreciate surrounding you, and I have learned these lessons through 15 years of life. 15 years of open eyes, open mind, open heart. And I have become so bold within these 15 years that I now find myself daring the world to try me. Ask me how old I am, and then tell me that I am too young, that I don't know enough. I will tell you of the lessons I have learned since